much for being in this panel. And you know, I will be a little bit of provocative because we have to talk about networking. We have to talk about how do we get more quality into the field. So my first question I have for you, for all of you three, is what is your role in the field? And why do you love it, if you love it? And otherwise, just do not answer that question.
Yes, I do love it, definitely. Actually, a lot of people ask why you being a hotelier, real estate player, end up in the longevity field. So my answer to them is actually quite straightforward one. It's actually, throughout my meditation, I kind of find it becoming my calling to contribute to extending human health span as one of my service to the world. So I literally dropped all my executive role in the hotel industry, and now my only executive role is in the longevity field, and literally pivoting from a very different world to where I am now, where I'm still learning every day. But the hardest part for me is actually the medical and clinical operations, because I have no previous experience in there. However, I've learned so much, and putting in the medical rigor, having a clinical governance officer in place, and the protocol in place is an eye-opener for me.
We will come back to that. So you told us why you love this space, but what do you love in your role?
So I see that every colleagues I meet, or any person in the industry I meet, and of course our patients and members as well. So I see that every conversation, every single second I spend, it is a time-worthy one. My end goal is, if they can be a healthier version of themselves after I have spent the time with them, I have won. So that's what I have.
Okay, so you have offspring of healthy people, so that's very good. Tim, tell us.
Thank you, Andrea, for the invitation. Talking about the network, actually being the doctors, and when we came this job, you always network with the patient family, with all your colleagues, because without network, you cannot really perform better. So before I joined the longevity medicine, actually I was just maybe same as other people before the pandemic. I have no idea what is a longevity medicine. But I've been involved with the medicine, transitional medicine, for more than 25 years. I've been leading the clinical transitional medicine for 15 years between US, China, and I'm working with the largest medical organization called Global MD Organization. 165 countries, all the global. I used to be working as Africa, as a regional African director, train 12 country doctors, just do the simple work, how to do the research. So when I'm back to Asian market, and then the China and all Asian, even I was in Philippines, the network is come out and showing the doctor don't know how to do research. Use a patient as a subject. So that's a simple word. And if you're working as a clinic, as a patient, if you're working at the research, that's a subject or participant. So due to the pandemic, I completely switched the whole area. I said, okay, let's think about a different area, longevity medicine. So I spent 3 years to figure out this. And then I suddenly figured out, in the whole global talking about longevity medicine, none of them talking about Asian market. None of them talking about Asian culture. So if you're looking for the global, the life expectancy, the longest, the top 5, 3 of them in Asia. But they have a really decent culture. So in longevity medicine, is not go back to the Western medicine, have to be inserted with the culture. So that's why I talking to Andrea Maier, talking to all the global, the longevity leaders. I said, why we don't create another organization called Asian Pacific Longevity Medicine Society? that will be hosted in Hong Kong. We'll cover all Asian Pacific. And then the conference we call the International Summit. That's why we're working with Andrea.
Perfect. Shem,
What was the question again?
your question, what is your role and why do you love it, if you love it? And otherwise, leave it out.
Okay.
And then we know.
My current role sits at the intersection of clinical operator. So I think the first half of my life really speaks to me being a clinician. I sat on the downstream as an ICU intensivist, seeing firsthand what a lack of, interventional aging at the right time translated into. It translated into burdensome systems failures, polypharmacy, and really just grief. And I think it was very intentional for me to move close to you, Andrea, the science, because, moving upstream now with longevity, I see that it is so necessary to shift that understanding and perspective and focus from just aging biology into how we can be more intentional in intersecting. But more importantly, I think the responsibility, it comes once in a lifetime, once in a generation opportunity for all of us here to really just influence this arena. But it comes with great responsibility, because to really intervene in a healthy individual actually raises the ethical bar and not the other way around. So I think I sit here as an advocate of change, but change in a meaningful, regulated way.
Thank you.
In a nutshell.
So let me continue with that change. And while changing the ecosystem, we are talking about measuring the biological age of individuals. So all three of you are the pioneers of setting the new standards, because you're either investing it, you're hiring people to doing it for you. Tim, you have so many MDs under your control very often, what you say. How do you bring that knowledge to them? And then Shem, you are really implementing it. So all the three of you, how do you make a choice what to implement and not implement into your either curricula or into certain investments you are doing or into the clinical practice? And if we are just talking about gerodiagnostics and biological age, how do you make the decision to do what? And what is your framework? Maybe, Tim, you can start.
Well, I have been doing this medical training for more than 20 years, because if you're not going to train the physician well, and everybody just shaking hands and say, look, I'm doing my surgery, I'm doing my pediatrician, I'm doing my... So when you introduce the geriatric medicine or the longevity medicine, first, the important that you have to really demonstrate, if you're going to be working for the sick care for a lifetime, because if you're going to be doctor in the clinic, you will continue to do the sick care. Now you are really doing some of the health care. So I have been communicating with all the doctors, what is really health care? We're talking about all the time the health care, but eventually it's not a real health care. Health care is the sick care. So the first education is important to let the doctor understand. When the doctor really get into the geroscience or geromedicine or longevity medicine, then they understand how can really promote what is really healthy life and in biomarker and bioagents. So that's important. So that's think in the short term, in the next 2-3 years, I think the first goal, we really train overall the Asian market or Asian physician to be understand what is longevity medicine. That's very simple.
Okay, so but you are going to train individuals. How do you make choices what to train, what not to train? So are you going to train, yes, measure the telomere lengths, or is it, yes, measure the hair follicles of gray hair? So how do you make the decision?
This is where everybody knows longevity medicine is new, is still emerging, develop. So when you bring to the physician, you always try to tell them this is a really cutting edge, this new is a combination, but it's not really something biohacker. It's really something, combination which you experience with a mature technology, even with you really thinking they should have some new terminology. Just for instance, what is called a lifespan? This is a new terminology for me, for most of the doctor. Now this, okay, that maybe look like the better quality of life, yes. Then you can tell the physician, do you want to treat the patient to stay in the sick, or do you want the people back to the health span and a better life? So this is important. And I think most important for me to be involved with education training, the simulation train the physician to understand how to deal with a patient or patient client is important, rather than just a lecture.
Okay, so you are including the patient, you are making use of levels of evidence which are defined in normal healthcare. Shem, how did you do that? How do you make a decision to include a certain biomarker of aging?
Primum non nocere. First, do no harm. That's the premise I've lived. If I tell you how long I've been in practice, you'll know how old I am, and I am very old. It's almost 2 decades of my life. And that's the premise that I live by. First, do no harm. And everything we do in inclusion in practice is so aligned with you, Andrea, and that's why I have an unfair advantage, gentlemen, that I sit literally and figuratively as close to the science as I can. It's intentional. Because hand on heart, I wouldn't be able to do the work that I do and sell out on first doing no harm. So I think everything has to be within strict governance and regulation. It has to work within evidence-based guidelines. And I don't think we're reinventing the wheel here. It's really not rocket science. It's just good medicine done better. And if we just stick to the tenets of always just first doing no harm, and then looking at the evidence as it emerges, ensuring that we close collaborators with institutes and academia, ensuring that we break through the siloed ecosystems and make it an all sort of systems buy-in with the medical system to ensure that we feed into that ongoing learning iteratives. And that becomes a two-way street. So the academia feeds us and we feed back through the outcomes we get, and that feeds the learning system and the outcomes and the evidence that will eventually buy us the credibility.
Okay, so you do it the hard way.
Yes.
Okay. Ellen, so MORROW is going to start soon, or already started, but tell us more. $150 million investment. You want to reshape the entire Singapore and Asian system. Tell us, how do you do that?
Yes, so maybe take a step back is how I see the investment today in longevity field. There's, you probably have a clear cut between a short-term kind of investment, like within 1 to 3 years time frame, they investing on something that they want their return back quite fast. Then there's another side of it, which is a lot longer, more patient capital, which is deployed in between 5 to 10 years kind of time frame. So I chose through Zivano Capital, we chose to deploy on the longer term patient side of capital. Because the field is still evolving, a lot of the infrastructure aren't built yet. So the shorter term vision is going to be difficult to achieve. So ultimately, we need the patient in the capital side, but then it comes with extreme difficulty in current days. Why I say that is because a lot of the businesses or investors are looking for certainty. When you show them about a projection of this business model, how is the revenue stacking up, how's the cost looking like, it is pretty much a new field, and the projection can be very different from what you set out to do in the first place. So in that sense, the current difficulty is on the certainty, but how can we improve the certainty in times to come? To me, is actually how we ensure the businesses have strong support from the industry, coming from evidence first and with solid science to support. So and the research that whether it's NUS or other academia in the world producing these research are actually supporting the investment community in underwriting businesses as well. So it is about building that network and that ecosystem to support the downstream after investment, then is the operation, then is the clinician, then is the patient outcome. So all these will have to be aligned. So I would say the research and evidence is going to be key. And yeah.
Okay, so that's the first time that I hear it, that the NUS Academy for Healthy Longevity is actually the underwriting of the businesses happening here in Singapore. I think that's a good achievement, so thank you so much for that. But may I then follow up on that? All of you three, how much of your return of investment would you actually accept to have at a certain point in time? And especially if you are making any revenue, what is the percentage you are putting into R&D? And R&D, I really mean to improve the field. Maybe we are starting with you. How much of the projected profit you are going to make? So first, revenue or profit, you can choose one. How much of the percentage do you put into R&D as a L'Oreal, as many of these companies do?
Yeah. So far for Sveno Capital, we are deploying funds for early stage and startup. So most of these companies does not have a very structured manner of saying, oh, how many % I put aside on R&D. They are not like MNC, you say, okay, I'll put certain funds aside. So they are still in a very fast growing stage. And most of the time, some are pre-revenue, some are pre-profit. So it's going to be hard to tell you about the ROI as well. But as a longer term projection, as any private equity or venture capital fund deploy, they are looking at easily a 15% RRR in general for them to underwrite any investments. So I would safely say, though immediate, you may not see return yet, but that's why the patience in the capital is critical for some of these businesses.
So you are saying at MORROW you are going to put 15% of it back into R&D?
No, we are saying the return of the investment will be 50% IRR. Yeah.
Okay. Would be so great if we would have the ecosystem where we could actually say, no, it's not 15%, it's 25%. Shem, how are you going to do that? So are you just lifting on academic centers and say, this is great science and a Nature article, worthwhile, a couple of millions of dollars of investments of universities from taxpayers, I'm just using it, I'm not putting anything into the R&D?
No, I think, Andrea, it's we're at such a pioneering stage in this beautiful science, right? And I think the more we put into the research and the development as a business, as an all-community, all sort of business ecosystem, it feeds the engine that's going to feed the health span of humanity. So if I look at it from Chi's P&L, and I'm happy to say, Craig McGee, hold me honest, that we are profitable and we have passed a break-even point. I would say we put in on the upper part of 30% in R&D, hand on heart. And that's pretty good, all things considered. And I know how we're driven with margins because we have to be profitable. Ultimately, we are a business. But we see the value of investing in the research, in the development, in the field. And that's how it's going to help to sort of democratize this industry and drive the research that's needed to drive the credibility and really get in an all-business buy-in and across ecosystems, not just healthcare, right? The network has to go across insurers, across governments, across regulators. And once they see that translation of the transparency in outcomes, the longitudinal data, that all takes money to sort of, do that tech flex, and does form part of the R&D, will actually help toward propagating this important offering to the world as we know it.
Okay, so what you are saying is not making the private clinic you are working at better, but also investing in the greater good, because that's one of the questions of the audience. How do we actually democratize it? So how do we make sure whatever we do in a MORROW, in a Chi Longevity, whatever clinic you are working with, that I could actually afford it?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at our pricing, you'll be like, oh, don't lie to me. We are priced heavily, but most novel industries, or even if we look at, okay, let's use oncology, oncological interventions, interventional cardiology, had to start at high price points because it's new. So when we do our testing, and if you look at our vendors and our collaborators, it's expensive to get the biological clocks. It's expensive to do this layering to ensure that we're giving, that we are tracking the biomarkers, that we are tracking the digital biomarkers, that we're ensuring that we're really just tracking all this longitudinal data and ensuring relevance in the science and making, informed outcomes and insights into it, right? And it takes a lot of money. But I think downstream, as this ecosystem and as the trust and as the credibility builds, those ecosystem partners will expand. And with that expansion will come credibility, will come standardization. And with standardization comes democratization.
Okay, perfect. So you were talking about profitability.
Yes.
So, and 20 to 30% into R&D. I think I would agree with that's a good number. So, but this is really an opposite what Phil Newman actually surveyed on the longevity clinics, that nearly the majority is absolutely not break even, and they are not happy with the revenues they are having. So, Tim, tell me, how do you actually teach your MDs to become the next generation of health longevity medicine physicians and to be able to survive and not having to close the clinic within 1 or 2 years?
Well, really, I'm not in the position to talking about the R&D and R&I as a return of the investment, also be kind of make money for the clinic. But I do know when I involved the medical field and longevity field, a lot of people come to me to say, okay, we are the investor, we want to invest on the product. How we make sure this product, this technology is good. So we do found that there's called on the pathway, there's called the validation. And there's an assessment validation is crucial for the investor to look at the evidence, and also for the doctor to really perform what is the scientific, what is the evidence. So we do have this kind of a mechanism can help doctor involve the clinical research, involve the real world evidence analyze. So this actually speed up the investment, come out the outcome, also be really make the clinic benefit. So when we come out this kind of a project, we decided to set up one we call the largest, probably maybe the largest, called the Accelerate Validation Center in Hong Kong to serve all the Asian Pacific market, because investment want to say, is this valuable to be invested? Is that to be benefit for the patient? So those actually is important. My position is trying to make this transaction smoothly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ellen, there are many questions for you with regards to investment, and what we are seeing in the field is an overgrowth of the non-evidence-based practices around the globe. So one of the questions of the audience is, why do you think it might be easier to raise investment for non-evidence-based, hyped, healthy longevity, and extensive biohacker protocols? So Brian Johnson, of course, is being used. I think he is selling now 4 times his treatment for 1 million each, already sold out. Very great. And why is it so hard to build the credibility and the investment for the evidence-based medicine field?
Yes, good question. So as I earlier mentioned about the short-term versus long-term investment mandate. So a lot of the investors out there are looking for short, quick returns. So most of these shorter returns are pretty much driven by what is the offering today out there, what is the proven money-making investment out there today. And a lot of them, as you know, the longevity field is still evolving. So a lot of these offering out there, most of them are not science-backed, are not evidence-based, but a lot of marketing hype. So, but they are doing well. Some of these companies are reporting big numbers, and they are generating good returns. So people jumping into it. So then they see, oh, that's great return. So I should copy and do the same thing. So whereas on the other side, which is the longer term investment, whereby they're more patient, but they are willing to deploy money in area whereby it requires longer time to develop, whether it's the research, whether it's the science to further develop into a commercial product and then make it successful. It takes time. So that's why, as I mentioned earlier, it is very hard for investor to deploy into the longer term capital if there is limited research and data to back that certainty of their investment. They're willing to wait, but is it going to vanish after I wait for 5 years? You tell me I get zero return and all your capital are wiped out. Or are you telling me actually my investment here, I put there 5-10 years and I'm actually getting good returns out of it? So that certainty or uncertainty is going to be the critical moment for the industry to evolve into this successfully.
Okay. So isn't not only what you sell, but also how you sell it of huge importance, that the non-evidence-based arena is so doing well because we have the health influencers, we have the biohackers, we have them hugely on TikTok and on YouTube. So I would love to hear from all three of you, because you are representing hopefully a profitable business in the end. How much do you actually invest in marketing? And how do you do it?
So different businesses have different marketing budget, obviously. But I think the key challenge today I see is that the medical grade type of offering are pretty much controlled by their license and regulators, saying that they cannot promote much about their service. But on the other side, the non-medical offering is just like out there talking out loud as to making all various claims that is possible with their product and services. There is a mismatch in the regulation in today's marketing longevity products. So I would urge the regulators to step up in this manner to level the playing field. So if you want the medical side to be extremely control in terms of how they can communicate their product and services to consumer, then why the non-medical side can say whatever they like to say? Sometimes it's false statement also. So how do we level that playing field is going to be the key in removing some of these non-science backed or pseudoscience type of claims and product from what we see here.
Okay. Shema, I come to you in a second with regards to marketing and how important that is. I just got a question that's more a comment in, which I think is the right thing, saying that isn't it also very important to have good media structures, good operational businesses for wellness, because people feel better, they might do more things, and that might actually influence our health span, and I fully agree, and maybe also you. But Shem, marketing. You're a longevity clinic. Why do we need a marketing department?
Controversial. You know how I feel on the subject. I think we have done quite a big marketing heft recently, but I think our overall website did need that overhaul. But again, coming to what Alan just alluded to, we are kept very regulated, especially within Singapore, within the confines of the Ministry of Health and what we can and cannot medically market. And being a medically registered clinic in Singapore, I think we can't buy into the hype, and we don't want to really, because we are really medically registered. And I think our solution and our services sell itself. But I think when it comes to marketing, and if we are doing the pivot that we're currently doing, which is, you know, a B2B to C pivot, we do need to sort of change the strategy a little. And there is the need for targeted marketing that goes a long way in sort of communicating where we are with the evidence, you know, where we are with our partnerships. And that helps to drive the credibility. But I don't think if you really is credible and you have your standardization on your regulation, you have your standardization on your operating protocols, you have your clinical governance on your medical disciplinary and your multidisciplinary teams, that you really need to do much in way of marketing as the world understands marketing. Okay. But I do agree with you, Alan, and I think it should be a level playing field. especially in such a country like ours. Like everybody should be held and with the same sort of tenure that we are.
Okay. Before going to Lars, if we are just good physicians and we are providing good care, marketing might not be so much needed. So why is it still not insured, Tim? And how do we get it insured?
Well, actually,
Reimbursable?
I just want to follow this question. If just to make a case, if Alan give me 1 million, I will spend 60% of the money for marketing. Why?
How much?
60%.
How much what?
If he give me 1 million, I will put 60% of the marketing. Why? Let's pick your case. And Andrea Maier is a marketing person, is an influencer. Why? She promote what is longevity science, what is Geromedicine science? It's the marketing. Otherwise, I have no idea what is longevity, what is Geromedicine science. So being a doctor, do the marketing is very professional, very convincible. Otherwise, if I'm a nobody, I'm going to bring something to Alan and say, look, this is a good sale. He will ask you, what your credential? If I say I'm MD, PhD, he said, this guy talking real. If I'm just like a salesperson, that's different. So marketing for longevity service is crucial. You cannot just let the people go to the YouTube and TikTok, everything. I personally have in China, we call WeChat. During this pandemic and after pandemic, I have over 11 million readers reading my article. And just for the longevity medicine, this topic, and probably maybe 700 papers, over 600,000 people read it. But that's a big influence. I will learn from that. If I'm being a good doctor, I always be a good doctor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will park the health insurance for 1 second. We are going now to the McKinsey Health Institute, Lars.
Yeah, just a follow-up question just on this conversation. If you need to convince your consumer or your patient of the work that you're doing and that is purely based in good science, how would you think about going to them directly with messaging that you're sharing? We have something that works, working via influencers, or getting some seal of approval, not regulatory, but like we heard earlier with longevity technology or so, that kind of a signaling like this from a third party. So what's your sense what the best return on investment is for you? Or what's the best way to convince your patient?
Who wants to get the one?
Yeah, I can take this. So for me, I think all those in the field who are MD, who are scientists, who are researcher, I urge all of you to be the voice of the industry. You need to speak out more as your specialized area, your expertise. You are in the position to speak out more. We need to drum out all the other non-medical, non-scientist, non-researcher type of voices, because they just flood the whole market. Wherever you see, whether it's social media or other channels, you just see them talking about. And where's our scientists? Where our evidence-based research is just being drowned inside this big sea of ocean. So if we ourselves collectively are out there talking about, or as what Tim say, we are the marketeer ourselves also. So we are the spokesperson to hold this longevity field tight with the science and evidence. So I'll definitely urge all of you to be the voice of the industry.
So everybody becomes very, very acquainted with TikTok. Okay, good. There is a question of the medical student or the medical doctor in Spain from Greece. That's what I remember. What was your name?
Thank you for having me, Professor Maier. My name's Atava. I'm a fifth-year medical student at the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki in Greece. I want to say thank you for having me. In medical school, we are not taught longevity medicine. And as you know, the current model of medicine is reactive. So my question essentially is, what can we do to get this into the medical curriculum and to teach medical students this? Because longevity medicine is something that I found out through my own passions. And it was something that I saw that was different to the conventional form of medicine that we practice. And when I talk to colleagues and people at university, a lot of people still think it's sort of a pseudoscience, but people don't really understand that it's something that we can use together with conventional medicine. So going back to my question, how can we get this into the curriculum and to educate more medical students, more bachelor students about this? And secondly, what do you see the future of longevity medicine for us? So in the next 10, 20 years, where will this field go? And how can we be a part of the next driving force?
Okay,
Thank
we have
you.
5 minutes left. Thank you so much, Tim.
I think this is a very good question. My experience, number one, all the doctors know what is called a continuing education, the CME. So if you are in doctor in the medicine, you must always get in the continuing education. So trying to introduce this curriculum into CME courses. Number two, actually, I just talking to 3 universities in China, medical school dean. Being the doctors and for the many years, if you want to open up a new field, there's a 2 area you can talk about: AI medicine and longevity medicine. And of course, when I'm talking to the dean, they are the medical field. They are medical. So look, AI medicine look like it difficult because we don't know what the AI means. But longevity medicine, you can definitely start from selection courses. And so this is basically, I recommend the dean of the school of medicine immediately just do the selection courses for undergraduate, for postgraduate, then they can start up to spread out. So you can have a butterfly infection.
Thank you so much.
Just to add on to this is, I was literally hiring for MORROW for our medical practice, and one of the criteria I told the team that I want them to be board certified in lifestyle medicine. But surprise to me, there's so little board certified individuals in Singapore. So the field is so new, there's so little supply at the moment. But then, coming back, why there's so little supply is also the demand is very little. So there are how many clinics that are actually focusing on preventive medicine only? So little. So as this industry grow, more and more clinics are focusing on longevity and preventive medicine. Then your demand grows. Then more students may want to actually want to sign up into this specialty, and hopefully the schools will also allow those supply and demand in the courses themselves as well. So I'm pretty much seeing this as a growing industry, but we're at an early stage of it.
Just add one more sentence. Last year, I invited Andrea Maier and Dr. Hansel went to China. Their course and 2 days, now they continue provide for Chinese doctors as a continuing education.
And for the ones, there are a couple of questions. How do you become a doctor in the field, or healthcare professionals become part of HLMS, Health and Longevity Medicine Society, hlms.co. A couple of questions are in there. So you too, because we have also the subsection for youngsters. To close this one, I have a rapid fire round. So I'm asking a question and you just have 1 or 2 words. Is that okay? Yeah. Good. Shem, we are starting with you. One intervention that will disappoint us.
Just jumping on new trends too quickly, just jumping on enthusiasm and not following the evidence first.
So no specific intervention? Tim?
Well, for me, I always consider 2 words: trust and honest. Being a doctor, you must be let your patient trust you. And also you have to be honest to your patient. I don't know, sometimes I need to learn.
So you are not saying GLP-1 receptor agonist
No,
or something?
I don't, I'm just saying.
Alan?
I'll be the devil advocate here. Supplements. So if you are not tested for deficiency and just taking some A to Z supplement for the sake of taking, I would strongly advise that.
Okay, another round. One technology we are underestimating. Tim? 2 words, max.
Exercise.
Wow.
AI.
I'll go with
Within
AI
proper
too.
guardrails.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll go with AI too.
Then I have a very intimate question for 2 of you. I really got a question. Ellen, where can they buy these shoes? And what is it?
online, I guess.
Seems to be very comfortable. That's actually the question, where are they from? And then there was a question, Shem, how can you walk in these high heels?
Practice,
Thank
practice,
you so much.
practice.
Please go directly to the panel members.